All right, baby. We are live. We'll let it breathe just for a second and try and connect to Facebook. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, hey, man, we let the chips fall as they may. And we're good. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, my brother, how's your week gone, dude? How are you?
My week's gone good, Chad. I'm really anticipating the Sunday's game. We had a good episode of Kelberman's Corner on Tuesday. We had a
Yeah.
good aftermath episode on Monday, but I'm really excited to get into the head-to-head about the Texans and Broncos game tonight. Hope you're doing well, my
Oh
brother.
yeah, baby. It's been a fun week. I'm glad that Dre Greenlaw is officially back in the saddle, and he actually broke his silence, if you'd like to call it that, making a public comments, first public comments since his one game suspension, and a couple things we learned courtesy of the Denver Post, Parker Gabriel. Oh, number one was Zack. He took accountability. He said, "quote I just shouldn't have put my teammates and my team in that position. That was just an emotional game. First game back, just turned. He was turned up, Zack." But then he also went on to say, for what it's worth, that he was never made clear to him by the NFL exactly what it was he said that they deemed to be verbally threatening to the referee. And the last thing he said was he's focused on the Texans. He wants to whoop their butt. Quote, just whip the Texans' butt. That's all I can think of. I've been watching them all week, Zack.
I'm ready to go out and buy my Dre Greenlaw jersey, Chad. I absolutely love his character. I love the dogness he brings to the defense. And we don't even know what he said to Brad Allen to prompt the suspension. And he'll never admit it, Chad, but I do wonder if the referee didn't just push his teammate, Sternad, in front of him after calling flags on them the entire game following an historic, emotionally fueled comeback. Would that have still transpired? I don't know. I still think it should have been a fine, but here we are now and he's back, and I'm happy about it.
He's back in the saddle, and Vance Joseph talked about, the reality that he's going to still, Dre Greenlaw, need some time to get his game legs beneath him, that his football shape is understandably not quite yet up to par. And he played well. I mean, the good news is the one game he has played for the Broncos this season, played 21 snaps and was highly graded by all outlets, including our Eric Trickle. But he's going to need some time to get his endurance up to par. And you can't blame him, Zack, considering that he missed basically all of training camp, with the exception of a few practices, all of the preseason, and 7 of the 8 games that have been played. Sam Bam, what's going on, brother? A
Thank
dear
you, Sam.
member, a super chat superstar in the house saying, hi, guys. Part 2 of the Texas 2 Stomp is this Sunday. I leave Saturday for Houston. I think we'll be fine without PS2 for this and the Raiders game. Hopefully, he's good to go for the Chiefs game, week 11. Go Broncos. Dude, that's so cool. I'm excited for you. You get the Texas 2 Stomp, the Cowboys last week in Denver, Zack, and now he gets the Texans in Houston.
Yeah, Sam, thank you so much for that. Super safe travels. Help bring the Broncos a win on Sunday. I don't know, though, that PS2 is going to be back for that Chiefs game. I think after the bye right now against the Commanders is the likely return for PS2. But I'm not going to say they're going to win that Chiefs game, but they can definitely survive and compete against Kansas City. If they can neutralize Rashee Rice with a combination of Riley Moss and a safety or whatever, I have optimism that Dre Greenlaw will handle Travis Kelce, and that game is going to be very close anyway. So let's not rush PS2. Let him get fully healthy for the Broncos playoff run.
Hey, man, it would be sweet if he's back for the Chiefs game. I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting him back for Commanders, but we'll see. Papa Bear, what's going on, brother? Great to see one of our dear members, a bona fide Mount Rushmore superstar, saying, good evening, Broncos country, hashtag 13-4, plus, 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 plus. Thank you, brother. Great to see you. As always, my friend, we genuinely appreciate your support. You rock, Papa Bear. The Ronk is also in the house, a dear member checking in, a superstar in the flesh, saying, good evening, Chad and Zack on the Mile High Huddle podcast. Go Bo Broncos. Mile High salute back at you. And the Broncos, man, they are rolling. We got some good things to talk about tonight. Just some quick hellos. Besides Sam, Papa Bear, and the Ronk, we also have Mblex here to party. Good to have you, buddy. Roger, the string guy. Great to see you, pal. Pearl's in the house. Pro 16's in the house at the top. Jake's in the house. These are dear members. David Youngkin. Great to have you guys. Sue and Jamal who just became a member recently. Awesome, dude. Great to have you. I see Roy on Facebook, so it looks like we're connected. What's going on, Roy? How you doing, buddy? Zach, by way of some really good news, I mean, it's good news Dre's back and all that. It's bad news, of course, what's been going on with PS2, unfortunately. But some good news is that Will Lutz was named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month. 2 game-winning kicks, perfect in the month of October as well from his field goals and extra points. And then Zach, RJ Harvey, the NFL Rookie of the Week for 51 yards on, I think it was 8 total touches and 3 touchdowns. Whoa.
Yeah, he was the first Broncos rookie running back since Clinton Portis in 2002 to record 3 total touchdowns in a single game. So definitely well-deserved for RJ Harvey. They have quite the 1-2 punch with Dobbins, the NFL's 3rd leading rusher, Chad, overall. That's pretty incredible. And Will Lutz has become money. There was some tension and apprehension about him the first couple seasons, but he's mostly Mr. Reliable, and I'm happy that he followed Sean Payton to the Mile High City.
I don't trip when the chips are down and he has to make a kick. Like, I feel confidence. Even that kick that was blocked at the end of the Chiefs game last year, I mean, that wasn't on him. But with Brandon McManus, I couldn't quite say the same thing. Even though he had a pretty dang good track record, there were just a few misses that haunted me. And I guess coming off of so many years of Jason Elam and then so many good years as well with Matt Prater just being freaking ice water in their veins, McManus maybe traumatized me a little bit, but I'm happy for Lutz. And, when you've got RJ Harvey, Zach, achieving things that no back has done since the likes of Clinton Portis, rookie backs for the Broncos. And then you have guys like Bo Nix doing things that only guys by the name of Peyton Manning and John Elway have done. These are good harbingers of the direction, Zach, this thing is headed, and a big sign of how things have changed.
That's a good point, because I don't remember many awards being won over that 10-year period, Chad, where we wandered through the football desert. The Broncos' talent level was pretty scarce most times, so I'm glad that the rookies are getting the recognition, and also veterans like Will Lutz.
No doubt about it. Ronk's saying here, because the Dolphins are playing the Ravens tonight while we're recording this, he says that Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel's job is up in the air, waiting on seeing whether the Dolphins players have indeed stopped playing for him. That's been the rumor, Zach. And I mean, it's hard to argue with it, rebut it based on the results and their record so far, but that he's quote unquote lost the locker room. But I think, this is a Broncos podcast. We are covering the NFL though, Zach. So I would say that, look, it doesn't look good, but based on his track record, I would, if I were ownership, if I was GM, I'd view this season as an outlier, kind of a throwaway. Let's learn from it. Because he's done some great things for that organization. This season's kind of been inexplicable, but maybe just a weird outlier for the Dolphins. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, I think it's a matter of when and not if Mike McDaniel's fired. They have a question of whether Tua Tagovailoa is their long-term franchise quarterback. There's questions about him. So I'm just glad that dumpster fire does not belong to the Denver Broncos for once.
Those days are in our rearview mirror. It feels good. Joe Anthony, what's going on, big dog? A dear member saying, hi, guys. Just had my back surgery. Whoa. The doctor took out the bone stimulator. Now time for the Broncos win this weekend. Dude, I take that as good thing that things are progressing well for you, buddy. And sorry that you had to go under the knife. I know what it's like to deal with back pain. I broke my back in 2007 doing stupid stuff, just kind of roughhousing, and it cost me. And then, for 5 years, I lived in pain. I was lucky enough, though, that no disc damage. It was just fractures in the bone. And, after some years of just gutting out the pain, it healed and I'm fine now. But I sympathize, Joe, with any and all folks who have any kind of back problems.
Yeah, a bone stimulator sounds like it either feels amazing or it hurts like hell. So for Joe, I hope it's the former in your case. Prayers, well wishes, get better soon. Appreciate you hopping on with us tonight.
You're getting my guy excited over here, Joe. I mean, your choice of vocabulary. Love it, dude. Thank you, pal. Great to see you. We got also the Ronk in the house gifting 10 Mile High Huddle YouTube memberships to folks in the chat. Very kind of you, my brother. And I'm sure everybody's grateful and stoked for the memberships. And Zach and I and all the guys here at MHH will do our best to earn those memberships. And hopefully you stick with us in 30 days. But thank you, Ronk.
Yeah, thank you so much, buddy.
But Zach, it's really good things that the Broncos have won 5 games in a row. it's kind of hard to believe, not to believe, but it's just kind of crazy the way things shake out, because after the 1-2 start, remember they won the first game of Tennessee, then 2 heartbreakers against the Colts and the Chargers, and fans were kind of going, man, we thought this was going to be a much better start, A, let alone season B. And I think it's safe to say a couple of questionable games where this team, you could see Zach was still kind of figuring itself out a little bit. But man, the last 2 games in particular have been sweet. I love the way the Broncos are playing right now. And the Texans, look, they've kind of started to turn their ship around a little bit too. They're no joke, but I think the Broncos, I mean, we'll save our official prediction for the roundtable tomorrow, Zach, but I feel like the Broncos are going to go into Houston and lay a whooping down, because let's not forget, different regime, kind of, only in the sense that it was a different quarterback. But in Sean Payton's first year here with Russ as the quarterback, CJ Stroud narrowly escaped with that win.
God, man, that's the game that Russ threw the pick in the end zone to end it, right? That was brutal. The Broncos probably should have won that game, but that's a different time. That's my whole complaint with the 2025 Broncos thus far, and as I'll explain in the roundtable article to come out, is that they've been so Jekyll and Hyde, so up and down, so inconsistent. Which Broncos team are we going to get on Sunday? And I just hope the good version of the Broncos shows up against the Texans, because if they do, they can beat anyone on the face of the earth.
String Guy, our dear friend Rogers, says, I have high hopes for the Broncos running game since they signed this new blocking tight end. Outside Pat Bryant, we have lacked outside blocking scheme guys. It should help Harvey. It's kind of crazy to think. I mean, I guess if you hang around long enough in a certain field, you're just going to continue to get better at what you do. But it's kind of crazy to think that Mercedes Lewis, who was really a great receiving tight end for a lot of years, Zach, is now being viewed as like this blocking giant, aka like Virgil Green from 2015. But yeah, signed to the practice squad. Was that yesterday? I think, Zach, he was signed to the practice squad. We haven't had a chance to talk about that. So what's your reaction to Lewis joining the Broncos?
It's crazy that Bo Nix was 6 years old when Mercedes Lewis debuted in the NFL. I was in high school still. That's how long the longevity of Mercedes Lewis has been. And as Maurice Jones-Drew, his former Jaguars teammate, talked about, and a couple other players and a bunch of the media, he is one of the best locker room teammates around. He is one of the best blocking tight ends around. And I'll say this, if they were on the hunt for that kind of a player, a number 3 tight end, I'm glad, Chad, they saved their draft capital and just signed a guy off the street for probably a couple $1 million.
I don't expect him to go trading for a tight end now. I mean, there was a lot of rumors that was one of the positions they were kind of looking at. And now all of the scuttlebutt, Zach, is on wide receiver. Do you expect to see anything? I mean, Adam Schefter, before I serve it back to you and you answer, Adam Schefter said earlier this week that it's kind of been a slightly quieter trade period up, this window leading up to the deadline this year, but that he expects to see things really heat up after this weekend's games. So do you think the Broncos make a move?
Well, it's surprising with how well Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant last week looked that they're even in these discussions. And I don't know what's going to come of them, but Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported recently that the Broncos want a classic field stretcher at wide receiver with veteran experience. There's really one guy that points to, Chad, that's been linked to the Broncos all along. We talked about it on KK Tuesday. That's Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans, speed demon. He's a good route runner from the slot. He would feast in a Broncos offense. I just don't know if they want to give up the capital and they want to sideline the progress of Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, and to an extent, Marvin Mims.
Marvin Mims still in concussion protocol. Just since you mentioned it, it reminded me, for what it's worth, his status for this week not looking good. But I have a hard time seeing where Shaheed really offers much more than what the Broncos already have. Yeah, he's kind of an amalgamation, you could argue, of like a Mims meets a Franklin. So like in that sense, he's more of a, I guess, complete player, but I don't know, man. I don't think they make a move. I've been wrong before. We'll see what happens. Lady D off the top rope. What's going on?
Thank you,
Deanna Hendry, dropping in Mount Rushmore. Love you so much. And she also gifted 20 MHH memberships in the chat, which is phenomenal between her and Ronk. Zach, that's 30 new memberships for folks today. So thank you so much, Deanna. We love you. She says, hello, Chad, Zach, and Broncos country. I'm glad Greenlaw is back. We'll need him. We need to win this game. I'm hoping we will be fine without PS2. Wish him well. The offense needs to show up strong this week. Moss and Harvey will do well. MHH for life. We love you, Lady D. Thank you so much. Zach, on this topic, I want to kind of turn it into a question, which is kind of based on what we saw in the second half last week. All of the assumptions, for the right reasons, have kind of been, and the perception is that, Chris Abrams-Draine is going to be, quote unquote, taking over for Pat Surtain. Do you foresee it that way, or do you see it more as Riley Moss will be taking over for Pat Surtain and Chris Abrams-Draine will be kind of taking over for Riley Moss?
I look at it like everyone gets bumped up one slot with the PS2 sideline. So Riley goes from cornerback 2 to cornerback 1. Cad goes from cornerback 4 to cornerback 2, more than likely, starting on the outside. And you have McMillan and you have Jahdae Barron as well. So I'm not totally worried about these next couple games. It's the Chiefs game, Deanna, that would kind of concern me. But even then, as I said before, you can neutralize the Mahomes threat. They can get by until the Commanders game without Patrick Surtain. So it's all about how they scheme. And I think Chad and I can speak for him. We're both very, very, very confident that Moss and Abrams-Draine will step up and rise to the challenge on Sunday. Thank you.
I like what you've been saying on Twitter. You might have mentioned it on one of the streams too, but that a good litmus test of football intelligence is how people speak about Riley Moss, and he's been very good. The only critique you can offer Riley Moss is just a little bit better awareness in certain situations, so as to not draw the flag, because a lot of the time they're reputation flags, right? Oh, it was a tight throw and it was a little bit of a physical route. It was incomplete, so we're throwing the flag because it's 21. That's just what we're used to seeing as officials or whatever. But his play on the field, I mean, half of those. Listen to Pat Surtain, by the way. He was talking about it on his podcast, and he made a funny comment about it being what did they say, like racial profile, just joking about him being the white corner and all that. But he said, look, my dude has been playing lights out. He's a lot of these flags have been BS on Riley Moss. So he steps up. He's the number one. I expect, like you said, everyone basically, Zach, gets bumped up. To me, the big question is, how does Jahdae Barron fit into the new lay of the land? Is he still going to be kind of that nickel guy that comes in nickel and dime and then like a matchup weapon? Or do you think maybe he spells some of the snaps kind of in the same way that when Moss went down last year, the Broncos' first initial plan was Levi Wallace with a little bit of help from Chris Abrams-Draine. And then even after they cut Wallace, it was now Chris Abrams-Draine with a little bit of help from Damari Mathis. What do you think?
I don't know, maybe because the Texans have two receivers coming back from injury, Nico Collins and Christian Kirk. So they're going to need the bodies on them. And Barron, I think the coaching staff, this is on my observation, I think they're putting more and more trust and more onto his plate and see if he can handle it. And so far he has. So I do think he'll get some more snaps, but I also don't want Vance Joseph to fix what isn't broken either, Chad, because Barron has been so good in the slot and in dime and covering tight ends.
George Fox, dude, great to see you on Facebook, my brother. He says, I see us playing another complete game this week. Denver Broncos for life, MHH for life. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Thank you for that support, my friend, and for the reminder for everybody. I mean, look, CJ Stroud, he hasn't lived up to his excellent first rookie, his rookie year, but he's starting to get his feet beneath him. Passed for over 300 yards last week against the Niners. They did the Texans, the 49ers, and so they're kind of filling themselves. DeMeco Ryans and that defense are legit. They've got genuine game wreckers on the edge on defense, and so it's going to be a tough matchup, but I think the Broncos are also going to be filling themselves riding high off 5 straight wins and 2 impressive performances in a row, albeit Zach kind of differently in terms of how they were impressive. One, Broncos 33 points in the fourth quarter, and the second one, a complete beatdown of the Cowboys, and they totally put the batten down the hatches on Dak, and then we'll grab Jonathan here.
Yeah, well, let's assume that the defenses are a wash, because if there's one thing Houston's doing well this season, it's playing defense under DeMeco Ryans. So taking that out of the equation, come down to the offenses. I have faith personally that the Bo Nix-led Broncos offense will outscore and outperform CJ Stroud, even if the game is on the road. I'm a little trepidatious about it, Chad, but not as much going in as I was about the Cowboys.
Jonathan, brother, thank you for your support and hanging in there while we got to your super chat. He says, I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go to the Houston for the game. I bought the tickets for my wife's birthday present. What a husband you are, dude. Awesome. She is amazing, and she loves the Broncos for life. Dude, that's great. That's awesome that you found a wife that's as stoked on the Broncos as you are, dude. That's a rare, rare blessing. So kudos to you. Have fun, dude. Safe travels.
Yeah, and happy birthday to your wife, Jonathan. Bring us home a W on Sunday.
We
Enjoy.
need it. You and Sam Bam, all the Broncos fans in attendance on Sunday. We need you to work your magic. But thank you, Jonathan, dude. Have fun and give our best to your wife. That'll be awesome for her birthday. Grover jumping in, a dear member, longtime superstar, saying, hoping we finish our sweep of Texas this weekend, but more so hoping to see continued success for our offense. MHH for life, Broncos for life. Much love, y'all. Thank you, buddy. Much love back at you. I think if they can kind of stay committed to the ground game, it sounds cliche, and it is cliche, but with this running back duo, when you have the ground game going, Zach, you see how it just allows Bo Nix and company to kind of dictate, and it opens up so much more, so much different windows and aspects of the offense, because the defense is forced to kind of respect what's going on there, and it puts them on their heels. Right. So I think that's got to be, if you're writing a keys to victory, and by the way, go read Luke's keys to victory today, but like a generic key to victory, for example, Zach, is, hey, get the ground game going, right? So it's easy to say that, but what's more important is understanding why that's so crucial. And on the road, it's been a couple weeks since the Broncos were on the road. They got to get that ground game going.
Yeah, and let's assume, since they do fly around, they're a very fast defense, that they neutralize the Broncos' running game. They sell out to stop the run. This game would be on Bo Nix and the passing offense to potentially be the deciding factor. So that's what we talk about with consistency, not being Jekyll and Hyde, being reliable from one week to the next. I want to see the concepts from the Dallas game. I don't care the level of defense they're playing. It's how they played, the play calling, the execution, the tempo. I want to see all of that carry over into Houston on Sunday. And if it does, I like the Broncos' chances a lot.
No doubt about it. It's going to be a fun game to watch. And here in a minute, I think Mr. Producer, you can probably start getting it queued up. We'll do the head-to-head so that we can kind of get a closer view here of exactly what the Broncos are up against. And I think everybody who pays attention to our podcast understands that this is a formidable defense, and we'll get into that. But what about Stroud in this offense that the Broncos are going to face on Sunday? David, brother, good to see you. Hopefully you're out of the hospital now and doing well. Appreciate your support as always, big dog. He says, Bo will have to keep his head on a swivel. Yeah, Zach, that's a pretty serious edge rushing tandem that the Texans have.
Yeah, and you saw what happened when they faced Russell Wilson a couple years ago. He didn't have the pocket presence that Bo Nix does. Bo Nix is now the least sacked quarterback in the NFL, I'm pretty sure. So kudos to him and kudos to the Broncos offensive line. If there's one thing I'm not worried about, David, it's Bo Nix avoiding pressure where possible on Sunday.
That's a calling card for Bo. And the Broncos, if you read Bob Morris's article today at milehighhuddle.com, we heard all the talk and we knew this was a top-graded offensive line entering the 2025 season. Garrett Bowles has been playing out of his mind, both as a pass protector, as a run blocker. But everybody else kind of after him has been up, has been down. Miners is starting to come on like crazy. But according to Sharp Football Analysis, I want to say it was Sharp, the Broncos are, let me find this. The Broncos, where is it? Here we go. The Broncos are... I'll just quote this from Bob's article here. Sharp Football Analysis ranks the Broncos as the best offensive line in the NFL in terms of pressure rate. The Broncos have allowed pressure on just 25.6% of snaps, which is the best in the NFL. And then the gap between the Broncos and the next two teams that are the best in that department is significant. The Steelers rank second with pressure allowed on 27.8% of snaps, the Chiefs at 30.3%. And then it goes on to talk about how the Broncos do when teams don't blitz, how they do when they do blitz, and then their run game metrics. Bottom line, what I'm getting at here, Zach, is the good news here going against this defense is it is arguably the best offensive line in football, even without Ben Powers. Alex Palczewski's looked real good at left guard, and then we'll grab Gene.
Yeah, and I've noticed really quickly when they've had some pressure issues that leaking through, they should neutralize it by calling less 7-step drops, 5-step drops. Those long developing plays that we saw in weeks past, those were not there against the Cowboys. So again, hopefully Sean Payton learned for good and can apply that going forward.
Gene, my brother, still loving that profile pic. 3 handsome men. I love it, dude. Great to see you. Give my best to your old man and the whole gang. Says, what's up, man? Still hoping we trade for Waddle. He'd look way better in orange. Yeah, we put out a fun little meme today on MHH social. Comment A for this player, B for that, C for this, that. And Waddle was amongst them, Zach. Would you like to see, I mean, who wouldn't want to see him in orange and blue, but do you see it as a feasible possibility?
I mean, we would all want to see it, but will we see it? It's much less likely. The contract, that he has or wants, the compensation it would require to trade for Jalen Waddle. I'm good with just developing Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin behind Cortland Sutton. That's a crazy idea, maybe, but that's what I would prefer.
Gene, great to see you, buddy. We'll grab this one more here from Lady D, then we'll hit the head-to-head. She says, with another very generous super chat,
Thank
love
you,
you so
Deanna.
much. She says, I agree, Zach. It's going to come down to an offensive game. Hopefully, the Broncos get the run game going. Let Bo be Bo.
Yes.
Go Broncos, MHH for life, Zach.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deanna. And we can just summarize what I'm going to say, my spiel into that right there. Let Bo be Bo. And when you let Bo be Bo, the Cowboys game happens. When you try to make Bo Nixon a Drew Brees, things like the first 3 quarters of the Giants game happen. So hopefully, again, Sean Payton's learning. But thank you so much, Deanna, for your continued support. You're amazing.
We love you. We appreciate you. Tell David we said what's up and hope you guys are doing well. On the subject of Waddle, this Mr. Producer doing a little research for us here. He comes with about a $43 million dead cap hit. The Dolphins are already, Zach, carrying 60 mil, or Broncos. Wait, Broncos. Is that Dolphins? That's what I thought. Sorry, my bad. I was on the right track in the first place. The Dolphins already, Zach, carrying 60 million dead, and they have 112 million that's either dead money or on injured reserve. So that gives a little bit more of a snapshot on Waddle, like what it would take.
Yeah, again, there's so many complicating factors. If the Broncos didn't give up picks in recent years for players and coaches, maybe. If they didn't pay Cortland Sutton, maybe. If they didn't have a Troy Franklin breakout, maybe. But all those factors lead me to believe that it's highly unlikely.
All right, guys, the time has come. Broncos, Texans. It's the head-to-head comparison. Green signifies a top 10 ranking. Red, of course, bottom 10. And the Broncos stand at 6-2. The Texans 3-4. It's also important to remember, while this is not a divisional matchup, it is conference. And even though the Colts have been romping through the NFL, it's still enough time left in this season and still not enough of a cushion between those two teams. You could see the Texans become a factor down the stretch. We'll see. But also just the fact of conference record comes into play for playoff arithmetic. Now, general turnover margin, Zach, the Broncos are still, unfortunately, not in the green. They're -1, which ties them for the 16th in the NFL. But the Texans, much better in this department. They're +4. That simply means, which ranks 7th, they've taken the ball away 4 times more than they've given it away. They are also top 3 in time of possession, holding on to the ball for 32 minutes, 25 seconds per game. The Broncos are not almost, they're 2 minutes fully behind them in terms of time of possession, which ranks 13th. Now, you look at these offenses, and the Texans from a yards per game are ranked 17th. Yards per play, they're 20th. 19th in points, averaging basically 22 points a game. Rushing, they're middle of the pack, 17th. Passing, so it's all middle of the pack until you get to, they don't fumble. They don't turn it over too much. I mean, he's been picked off 5 times, same number as Bo. They're both, that ties him for 14th. But then you get down here to sacks. They've allowed 15, nearly twice as much as Bo. Broncos, by the way, ranked 1st in fewest sacks allowed. Texans 13th. But look at the third down, Zach. They're 25th in third down percentage and 31st. Only one team worse than the Texans offense in red zone efficiency. And then you look at the Broncos real quick, 9th in yards, 10th in points per game. This is now, again, they finished 10th last season, Zach, in terms of scoring. They've now cracked into the top 10, averaging 26 a game. That puts them at 10th. Rushing, they're third, tied for third technically, but kind of middle of the pack in passing. Same for interceptions and giveaways, but first in sacks, middle of the pack in third down, 20th. And then, Zach, the sixth best red zone offense, converting possessions inside the 20-yard line into touchdowns 7 out of 10 times.
The Broncos have to feel good on defense that if they get the Texans within scoring range, that they can hold them to a field goal and help out their offense as well. One thing I don't see on the Broncos side for once, maybe the first time ever, Chad, is any red. And even the black there, except for third down percentage, it's fairly middle of the pack. But when you're a top 10 offense in yards per game, in points per game, in rushing per game, in sacks allowed, and in red zone percentage, when you're top 10 in all those, you are going to win a lot of football games. I am really, really happy with the progress the Bo Nix and Sean Payton offense has made.
All right, so there's kind of the snapshot. We're going to get more into the defense, but that kind of tells you that, it's kind of an average offense with still its fair share of struggles. Defensively, look at all the green on both sides. I mean, first are the Texans in yards, first in points allowed, 14.7 per game is all they're giving up. Fifth in rushing, fourth in passing, 8 interceptions ties them for fourth. So they've doubled the number of interceptions the Broncos have gotten. Let's see, takeaways 11, that gives them tied for fifth. Let's see, sacks though, they only have 16, so that ties them for 18th. They're the third best third down defense. But look at this, kind of inexplicably out of the blue, all this green and then one red mark for the Texans defense. They're tied for 31st in the red zone. Kind of interesting. Then you look over here at the Broncos defense, 5th in yards, 5th in points, 10th in rushing, 7th in passing. The takeaway metrics still need to improve. They've done marginally better, Zach, in that department the last 2 games with at least a takeaway in each game. First in sacks still, first on third down, and first, Zach, in red zone. That's the Broncos defense.
Yeah, same as the offense. When you're first in sacks, first in the third down, first in the red zone on defense, you're gonna put yourself in a position to win a lot of football games. But what stands out to me, that red, as you mentioned, 31st in the red zone for the Texans defense. If we scroll up, what were the Broncos on offense in the red zone?
They were 6th.
So there you go. I talked about it earlier. I think that could be the key X factor of the game. It's the Broncos passing offense, or the Broncos offense in general, versus this Texans defense. They're going to have to rise to the challenge.
It's going to be a tough test. I mean, there's an argument to be made that the reason they're not so good in the red zone is it's hard to get to Houston's red zone. I don't know. Maybe they're not as practiced. I don't know. But it's nevertheless, that's where with the kind of unstoppable force element, Zach, meeting the immovable object of this matchup comes into play. The Broncos, under Sean Payton, from the time he got here, even with Russ, were very good in the red zone. They've become even better, of course, with Bo Nix as the trigger man. Can they exploit what appears to be a vulnerability of this Texans defense in the red zone? Well, we'll see. But first things first, you got to move the ball between the 20s and get some possessions in the red zone.
And you have to be aggressive along the way in doing so. Not reckless, not stupid, not calling the annexation of Puerto Rico, but pushing the ball down the field, keeping Bo Nix balanced with the running game, and just keeping the defense on their heels.
All right, we move on quickly here to special teams. And the Broncos have pretty much they've gone from terrible rankings to mostly middle of the pack rankings, with the exception of they still suck covering kickoffs, and they're top 10 in field goal percentage, 90.9%. He's missed one, right? Unless I'm forgetting.
He's 10 for 11. Yep.
10 for 11 on the season. But he was perfect in October. So good for Will Lutz. Whereas you look at the Texans, and they're pretty much an average special teams unit across the board. All of their rankings, metrics wise, are in the black, which means they're middle of the road. Penalties, though, the Broncos still, Zach, dead last in the NFL, 68. While the Texans are significantly more disciplined, or shall we say fortunate, whatever. 52 penalties ties them for 14th. But penalties committed, this is what's so crazy. This is why the Broncos have legitimate gripes when they go to the NFL with their notes after each game. They have legitimate gripes because not only are they getting penalized the most, but their opponents are getting penalized at a ridiculously high clip as well. Look at that. they've been penalized 68 times, and their opponents, Zach, have been penalized 66 times. Why are refs so excited to throw flags at Bronco games?
Because Sean Payton's the head coach. That's the only thing that I can reason with myself as to why it happens. But special teams, you're right, they're pretty average across the board. They would have Marvin Mims, by the way, for this game, if not for Darren Rizzi. A communication on the sideline last week put Marvin Mims in the game as a returner, and he got concussed as part of it. So I'm not been impressed at all with Rizzi as the Broncos special teams coordinator. Good thing for Will Lutz, but aside from that, Chad, it's been very unimpressive.
Hopefully he can bounce back, but it's the one, unless I'm not thinking of something. I mean, I'm trying to think back to year one, Sean Payton, but it's the one coaching move hire as an assistant that Sean Payton has made since he came here that isn't looking like a grand slam home run. Like even the guy he fired last year, Ben Kotwick, special teams, frankly, I didn't feel like that was justified. Like,
yeah,
he had, looking at the numbers last year, that was a very good special teams. He had an all-pro come out of their special teams unit. And I think when Sean Payton saw Dennis Allen get fired down the stretch, he went, okay, Rizzi, my guy Rizzi is about to be available. So I'm going to go ahead and preempt that and make room for him by letting Kotwick go. I think that may have been a mistake. Broncos Unchained, what's going on, big dog? Great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being a member of the MHH community on YouTube. It's another great way to support what we do. Plus, you get access to Kelberman's Corner every Tuesday, Broncos Book Club, and we're about to roll out some other members-only stuff here shortly. So thank you, bud. He says, I missed the last couple shows. Always love the fresh take, MHH family. Be well. You too, big dog. Glad to have you back. Hope you've been well.
Yeah, thank you, Broncos Unchained, for that. And Chad, you are 100% right, I think, about Darren Rizzi. The only reason why they fired Kotwick and hired Rizzi is because Rizzi became available. Cronyism and nepotism are hell of a drugs, especially in the NFL.
On one hand, it's like, hey, I don't blame him. Like, in some weird alternate universe, Zach, if I got fired and ended up somewhere else, and then you got fired, I'd be trying to bring you over with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be trying to keep the band together to some extent. On one hand, I get that. I can sympathize, but it's kind of a case, Zach, of cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? Like, you think you're doing something to help yourself, but it's actually hurting you. It'd be one thing, Zach, if Kotwick presided over a complete crap show and incompetence. But outside of that block kick in Kansas City, of which, by the way, 2 heads rolled because Mike Westhoff, is that his name?
Yep.
He resigned as assistant head coach / special teams advisor guy. What was it, 2 days after, claiming I'm old enough now, I got a couple health things, I'm going to go ahead and ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
Immediately, if it didn't happen immediately after that block kick, I wouldn't have thought anything about it, Zach, but it happened immediately after the block kick, and then Kotwick ended up getting fired. So either way, I could understand it if Kotwick had not done well at his job, but the Broncos were good on special teams last year.
And then they had Chris Banjo, the assistant special teams coordinator, who they wanted to keep, and he got the Jets special teams coordinator full-time job. So it was like a perfect storm of disaster that led us to Darren Rizzi.
As Scott calls it, the coaching mafia, the made men. Once you're in, you're in. You know what I mean? Anyway, Broncos Unchained. Thanks, buddy. Tucson Phil is in the hizzy. Great to have you, Phil. Hope you're doing well, big dog, over on Facebook, saying good evening, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. It's been a while since I've said this. Exactly. We are, Zach and I, your football priests, and each and every week we're here to offer you the absolution and answers to your burning Broncos questions. And Scott, I guess, hearing that nickname Deacon Scott, I don't know, but he's a priest in our book for what it's worth. Got to believe that Stroud will be on his back a few times this week. Bonito is hungry. That's a great point, Zach. Nick Bonito entered week 7. So he entered the Giants game going head-to-head with Brian Burns. First in the NFL in sacks. Burns was behind him by 1. Cut to entering week 9. He's now, I think 4th, because he's gone 2 straight games without a sack. Now, he's been affecting the game, both in that Giants game and the Cowboys game. He had a crap ton of pressures. And in fact, both of Denver's sacks last week against the Cowboys on Prescott came as a result of his pressure. So, but he just hasn't, it's kind of the way it goes for pass rushers sometimes, Zach. The actual sacks themselves can come in bunches. Is this the game that he, kind of breaks back into his favor?
Yeah, this definitely could be a situation like the Browns game or the Colts game where he makes some amazing game-changing play. I wouldn't put it past Benito, honestly. He's still in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. But the good thing, Phil, about the Broncos defense is the sacks can come from anywhere, not just Benito, but Jonathan Cooper. Jonah Ellis is back. You have Zach Allen up front, JFM up front. A lot of people can get after the quarterback. So even if Benito is tied up by that Texans O-line, I have faith that someone will get to CJ Stroud.
No doubt. No doubt. Sue, we need to keep our penalties under control. They kill us. I know. Some of it is earned. Don't get me wrong. This is why from the beginning of the season, Zach and I have been harping on the discipline, pointing at the coaches, like, what is the disconnect here? But you cannot talk about the epidemic of penalties for the Broncos without acknowledging that there have been some really craptastic calls this year, Zach.
Yeah, like leverage, for example, or the DPI that Riley Moss drew at the end of the Giants game where he was literally being mugged by the Giants receiver. PS2 was joking about racial profiling, Chad, but I wonder. I'll say that. I wonder.
Cody Dub, my brother. Great to see one of our dear members and longtime superstars saying, what's the Eagles' defense look like compared to the Texans? I keep hearing Denver hasn't played a legitimate team, but they beat the Eagles. What are they? Well, let's look. All right. Titans. Yeah. All right. Then you get to week 4, Bengals. All right, cool. And then week 5 was the Eagles. Beat them. That's a legit team. What do you mean? I mean, whoever's saying that, Cody, is up in the night. Obviously the Eagles are the defending champs. And I think the Broncos kind of caught them still in that phase where their offense is still figuring things out because they do have a new coordinator. But then, you handle the Jets in a desperate situation, come home and you handle a rising, resurgent Giants team that basically had you beat were it not for some like rare historic comeback hero level stuff. And then last week, I don't think too many people expected a Broncos blowout. There were people, Zach, including myself, who predicted a Bronco win. I did not predict, nor did I foresee a 20-point blowout. The Cowboys are a good team. I think that was a step back, kind of just the Broncos handled them because the Broncos are one of the better teams in the NFL. And what are better teams supposed to do, Zach? They don't punch down. They handle inferior opponents, and that's what they've done this season.
That's a really good point, Chad, because I want to see them do it against a team that might be on their level. Maybe the Texans are one little rung below the Broncos. They're just more shaky on offense. I don't think their defense is at the level, chaos-wise, of the Broncos, but this is a really good test for Denver on the road in an early window time slot, Chad, against a team that's in their class. And in the past, they would have letdown games. They would punch down, like you said. They would play down. They would coach or play not to lose. I want to see the same principles that were applied to the Cowboys game transfer into this one. If they can do that, they'll improve to 7-2. I have no doubt.
Now this is, look, I'm not trying to make light of it. This Texans defense is easily the best defense the Broncos have faced up to this point. Mr. Producer dropping us some insight. Eagles currently ranked 16th in defensive DVOA. That's just without boring you, it's a fancy football analytic that measures collective. Eagles 16th, Houston in DVOA 4th. And as Scott says, Eagles are legit, but this is the best defense the Broncos will have seen. And based on the DVOA rankings, Zach, through 8 weeks, 5 of the 7 worst defenses in the NFL in DVOA, the Broncos have played.
I also watched Sam Darnold cut through that defense a couple weeks ago like a hot knife through butter. And I'm just confident that if they can do that in Seattle, the Broncos can do that in Houston on Sunday.
It really will be. I don't want to call it a litmus test because I think the Broncos have already proven themselves. They're 6-2. They've won 5 in a road. You know how hard it is to do that in the NFL?
Yeah.
But it's more of kind of an acid test is perhaps a better way of saying of whether or not this offense really has unlocked something. I suspected coming out of that Giants comeback, Zach, that it kind of turned something on for him, flipped a switch, and it turned out that way with the Cowboys. But I think this game will prove whether that was really true or not. Lady D with a third extremely generous super chat, plus donating memberships. We love you. She says, hit the like button. Yeah, guys, while you're with us, YouTube, hey, Facebook, guys, while you're here, hit the like button. We need you. We need the support. It's free. Share and subscribe. She's also reminding everybody, thank you, Lady D. And David said hi to you both. Awesome. He's a great guy. Fun to hang out with. Zach, please tell your wonderful wife I said hello. We've got to sack Stroud. Keep him off center. Go Broncos. Hi, Scott. Love y'all. MHH for life. We love you too, Lady D.
Deanna, you are absolutely the best. Thank you so much. All these podcasts, all these supers, all this generosity you've shown us throughout the years, and you still make me tongue-tied. You still humble me to my very core. Genuinely, thank you so much for that. And once again, your insights are correct, in my opinion.
No doubt about it. Stroud, if we look at real quick, hold on. I'm pulling it up. I had it up and then I accidentally closed it. So this season, based on yardage, Stroud ranks 14th. He's got 1,623 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, Zach, 5 picks. Bo Nix, just in comparison, ranks 8th in yardage with 1,803, 15 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So if you look at it from touchdown perspective, Mahomes and Stafford lead the NFL with 17 each. Then it's Herbert, Prescott, and Rodgers with 16. And then Drake May and Bo Nix, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, and Tua with 15. So, Bo Nix is also benefiting Zach from the coaching and scheming of Sean Payton, not only in the, game planning aspect and the play calling, but when they're in the red zone. Scott opened my eyes to this, man. When they're in the red zone, Sean Payton's all about getting Bo Nix those stats, baby.
And I feel comfortable when they get down near the 5 or 3 or maybe even the 10-yard line that they're going to punch the ball in the end zone with the improved running game. And some of the plays that Sean Payton does draw up near the goal line are incredible. So if they could just, like you said earlier, if they could just get down there on Sunday, they have a really good chance of winning.
So here's one last interesting thing about the quarterback statistics currently. The number one rated quarterback, so based on QB rating, is actually Drake May, 118.7. Now, the league average this season is 93.7. CJ Stroud ranks right there at league average. Bo Nix ranks 91. So he's ranked 17th. Stroud's 15. So from a rating perspective, you can argue Zach Stroud has been more efficient than Bo Nix. Otherwise, in every other metric that you can really measure, Bo Nix has outproduced him. So it'll be a fun head-to-head for two interesting young quarterbacks. Boss man Jay jumping in with 5 gifted MHH memberships. Thank you for that, big dog. Means a lot to us. Thank you. And remember, guys, I think, let's see, where are we? Thursday. So the next members-only show will be Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, Broncos Book Club. We're still, I know reading and all that stuff, it's not for everybody, but we're on to the second book of Broncos Book Club. We're on Son of Bum, It's Been a Gas, and look forward to breaking down chapters 3 and 4 on Saturday with the members who are participating. So thank you, Jay. DJ Capo in the house. What's going on, big dog? He says, what's going on, Broncos fan? We need speed for Nix. I believe we have a solid receiver group, but no speed like Rashid, Worthy, or a fully healed Tyreek. Broncos for life. Well, that's what's weird, dude, is we do have speed. I'm not trying to say you're wrong, DJ. All I'm saying is I know what you mean, but yet we have speed. Franklin's fast. Marvin Mims is even faster, but it hasn't been utilized to its fullest up to this point, Zach. And the Broncos have had a few opportunities. One of them they hit on. I'm trying to remember what game it was. Was it the Tennessee game? Might have been the Cincy game. There was one deep shot to Mims that they did connect on. But there have been a lot of wide, he either throws it too long or he's just not on target on the deep shots. But he's begun to get his groove back. Your thoughts here for DJ, though, who does make a fair point. I would say that they're not utilizing the speed they have to its fullest. But could it also be, as DJ's saying here, Zach, that they just are lacking speed?
Well, it's also the drops, and Bo Nix has overthrown some deep shots this season for sure, but the receivers are not helping him out by clanking the ball off their chest or off their hands. It happened to Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin in last week's game against the Cowboys. And you said earlier, what's the difference between Rashid Shaheed and Troy Franklin? The difference is their hands. They're both very fast, but Shaheed is a little bit more of a reliable pass catcher, and that's all I want for Bo Nix. Now, I'm not saying go out there and give up the contract or the compensation to acquire Shaheed, but whoever the Broncos have on the field, they have to squeeze the football, and they have to, when it gets in their hands, make sure they complete the process of the catch. Please.
All right, Jake, a member, good to see you, buddy, says, remember, the Colts, the best team in the league, had to have a BS penalty called on us to beat the Broncos. Not only that, but, they lost to the Chargers with some kind of sketchy, weird outlier stuff happening in that end of game sequence. I mean, there is an alternate football universe, exactly, which the Broncos go into this game undefeated, honestly. But then there's also an alternate universe where they've got 3 or 4 losses. You know what I mean? Because they did have to storm back against the Giants, and it did get a little sketchy for a minute against the Jets before they got that final field goal. So I hear you, though, Jake. The Broncos, they're not getting enough respect, and I like it that way. I like having that little bit of Zach flying under the radar sleeper thing. Let the league sleep on the Broncos. And I mean, guys, before we get out of here, drop your predictions. Pro 16 says Broncos win this easy, 30-17. Wait and see. While Zach gets to a couple messages for you guys, I want you to drop in the chat right now your prediction for Broncos Texans. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll be easy on Sunday, but the Broncos, in my mind, have a good chance of winning this game and going to 7-2. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important as always that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
All right, guys. Stream guys saying 27-21 Broncos, I assume. Colby saying Broncos 24-13. Shiloh, what's up, brother? 24-21. Yeah, this is funny. Ronk. Currently entering week 9, Dobbins, 634 rush yards, ranks 3rd in the NFL. Javonte, 1 yard behind him for 4th best in the NFL. I'm happy for Pookie, honestly. I hope it continues to work out well for him in Dallas, man. That freaking injury just derailed things. And yeah, thank you, Raj. Appreciate you, big dog. He says, hit the like button for the best Broncos pod. DJ Capo's predicting a shutout, Zach, 21-0. Bossman Jay says 17-14.
Yeah.
Roy went from Facebook on over to YouTube. Stay with us on YouTube. That's where we need you. YouTube, Facebook, algorithmic voodoo. I mean, we have 121,000 followers on the page. I think the last time, I'll look right now and tell you guys, they've allowed it to go to 6 people. 6 people are watching right now on Facebook. So forget Facebook. Come over on YouTube. If you're a Facebook user, that's where you like to watch the show. Forget Facebook. Come join us on YouTube. It's way better for watching podcasts and participating in podcasts anyway. But Roy, thank you, buddy. And then Ronk's last thing here, official prediction, Broncos 28, Texans 24. And then I'll read this here. We beat the Cowboys from Bossman Jay. So it's all good for wishing Javonte the best. Had a bad break. Glad he's doing well. Amen to that. Hey, guys, Mile High salute. Special shout out to all the great Super Chat superstars, supporters, and members helping us keep the lights on, like the Lady D with multiple supers tonight, plus the gifting of 20 memberships.
Thank you,
Sam Bam looking to complete the Texas 2 stomp. Thank you, buddy. Papa Bear, the Ronk, Joe Anthony with his bone stimulator, getting us all excited over here. Love you, Joe. George Fox, appreciate you, buddy. Jonathan Shelton traveling with his missus to the Houston game for her birthday. Grover, David Youngkin, Gene William, Broncos Unchained, Tucson Phil, Cody Dubb, Bossman J also throwing down memberships, and DJ Capo. It's good to see you, by the way, DJ. It feels like it's been a minute, but welcome back, big dog. Thank you for the support. Zach and I as a tandem are off until game day, till Sunday. So we'll be here for all the good stuff covering the game. And I'll be back Saturday at 2 p.m. for members for Broncos Book Club, where we'll spend some time on the book. We'll spend some time on the Texans. It'll be a gas. So have you, everybody, a great start to your weekend, and I'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, we will see you for the gut reaction, after the Broncos Texans game. Have a great start to your weekend. We'll see you Sunday. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.